Well, welcome everybody to another Upland Consulting Zoom Room conversation where we explore successful Southwest businesses and the path that the businesses and their owners have taken to where they are today. Today's guest is Belinda Musitano from Eyes Australind and also very shortly Eyes Dalyellup. Welcome Belinda, thanks for joining us.
That's all right, thanks for having me.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, Belinda, what got you into this line of work in the first place? Where did it all begin?
So I kind of fell into this line of work actually. I had originally deferred my uni course and decided to go and work for a year out of high school. And I knew I wanted to do something in the health industries. That was always my interest. And I just happened to go and work for an optometry practice, an independent one that was well known in Perth. And instead of going to uni, they offered me to take a different pathway. And I was really enjoying what I was doing and I chose to do that.
Fair enough. So the good old gap year.
Yeah, the gap year that didn't get me where I was planning to go, but I kind of figure that all of those things always happen for a reason, and it exposes you to things that you didn't even know was an opportunity. So
Sure, yeah. And so from working for an independent optometry practice, something pushed you in the direction of starting your own, is that right?
Yeah, I worked for that company for 5 years and ended up managing one of their busier practices. And then I decided to go and do some study. So I went and did HR management and did a certificate in Train the Trainer, it was called back then. And was just looking for a different challenge. Along those lines, I went and worked from the other side of the industry, which is in the wholesale side. So I worked as a sales manager for one of the lens laboratories that manufacture the optical lenses. And then I moved down to the southwest.
Right.
And down here was very hard to keep doing that role and travelling. So I looked at the opportunity of what the Bunbury region was missing, and at that time everything was located in central Bunbury. So I thought, why not bring the services to the outskirts of Bunbury that, you know, everyone had to travel in at that point, and that's where we got to and decided to open the Australind store.
Yeah, good thinking. And so you're not actually an optometrist, right? You employ optometrists.
Yeah, so I'm an optical dispenser. So that's a certificate that I did through TAFE. And so that means that I'm qualified to fit lenses, discuss lens options, do contact lens fittings, and I actually repair and create the glasses, if that makes sense. Yeah, and I employ an optometrist to do the eye testing.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I was just curious then, because right from the beginning you've taken an entrepreneurial path of looking at what was already in the market and deciding to do something different. So location was one of those early decisions, like let's not just go where everyone else goes, let's look at a different geographical market. Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
But you've also innovated in a number of other ways with Eyes Australind. There are things like your very strong social engagement program that the business has, and could you tell us a bit more about what else do you do different?
Well, the other things that I was really looking for is to bring some services that weren't available elsewhere. So some of the things that we do differently is our Vision for Learning program. So one of my passion is kids' vision. And we had so many families that would come to us that were referred from a teacher or something by the time they got to year 3. And I was really concerned why nothing was getting picked up earlier than that, or why parents weren't going to take their kids to get their eyes tested. And I just think that after the school nurse checkups in kindy, there's just not any further learning about that. They're not aware of any other programs. So one of those was to bring in the school screening program. So we go in and we screen year 1 kids, and we've been doing that now the last couple of years and expanding that every year. And a part of that program is also to give kids that are in financial need access to free glasses if they require them for school. So that was one of my first kind of different programs to introduce. We also do a dry eye clinic for people that suffer from dry eye syndrome, which is really quite common now. And we had been referring people up to the Perth clinics for that. And that also concerned me that why aren't we offering that locally? So that was just the next step. And we also do myopia management, which is a very new emerging issue that's had a lot of attention in the last 12 months. So that's just, again, working with children that are short-sighted and how we can manage it so it doesn't progress as bad as what it could do.
Yeah, that's very impressive. And I guess a lot of the time kids in early primary who seem to have difficulty picking up reading or whatever, it's assumed to be a learning difficulty, isn't it? It's not often thought that they might actually just not be seeing the letters clearly.
Yeah, that's right. And there's some percentages to state that 40 to 60% of learning difficulties actually are related to vision issues. So it really is, yeah, highly related. And one of the reasons why the vision screening program in year 1 was really important to try and pick it up so then they can get the concept and the phonics journey of reading and learning to how to read and write. Yeah.
Yeah, really cool. And the big news for Eyes Australind is that you're about to diversify again to a new geography. Is that right? With Eyes Dalyellup?
Yeah, Eyes Dalyellup has been on my radar for a while. It's just been about getting the staffing in place and everything else that falls into place. So yeah, I'm super excited to be opening that store. So we get the keys in October and the opening date's in November. And we'll be bringing the exact same services across to the Dalyellup community. And I kind of feel they're like Australind at the opposite end of Bunbury, with no services, don't want to have to travel into Bunbury for everything. So yeah, I'm really excited to become part of the community in Dalyellup, like what we've done in Australind.
Yeah, congratulations. And yeah, I noticed once again, outside the CBD, around the peripheral areas where in fact most Bunbury people live, the CBD itself doesn't have a very large population at all, does it?
No, and Dalyellup is a hugely growing population with young families and also retired people that are crying out to have services locally to them as well and to have more development done there. So.
Yeah, really good. And you're also providing some local jobs, I take it. How many people do you employ?
So at the moment I employ 7 people and that will be expanding. I've just put on another person to start preparing for Dalyellup, so we'll go up to 8. And then I'm hoping that Dalyellup will be busy enough to put on definitely at least 1 more staff member in the next 12 months. So yeah, it'll be another person, hopefully.
That's really good. So I mean, that's 8 or 9 jobs that would not exist without you.
Yeah, I suppose you can look at it that way.
I do. Well, I mean, this is what entrepreneurs do, isn't it? We create things that were not there before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it must have taken quite a lot in the way of business discipline to be able to run a slightly unconventional practice, certainly in an unconventional location, and make a go of it. How do you actually stay on top of the business as its manager?
So, I have an amazing team, and it took me quite a few years to figure out to let go of some of the tasks that I used to try and control. So I have a store manager who takes care of stock and reports back to me directly with a lot of the day-to-day business that she's now responsible for. So that has allowed me to look at really strategically where we're going, what we need to offer, where our products are, work with our suppliers better. So it is unconventional. I also do a lot more in the marketing side of things, but not being an optometry and an optometrist owned practice has actually, I feel, given us a much better benefit because our optometrist works specifically on their section, and there is someone else who is focusing on all the other aspects of the business, which is very hard when an optometrist is trying to work in a store and also on the store, if that makes sense.
It does make sense, Belinda. Yes, and we see it quite a lot that very often the owner of the business becomes the handbrake on the business because they don't let go of things they might as well let go of. And I think that's particularly so with people with a professional qualification or a trade qualification. They're good at what they do, so that's what they do, which means they neglect perhaps their more important task of being the business manager.
I mean, I love nothing more than still working in the store because that's part of the thing that I love to do. So I love to help people find glasses and the right particular lens that's going to make their day easier. But yeah, stepping back and giving that responsibility some days to everybody else is also important for me. And it has allowed me to look at the bigger picture and allow the business to grow more as well.
Yes, I agree. And look, the outcome is really what you would expect, what I would expect as a business advisor, that having allowed yourself to let go a bit, you've now freed up your business to grow, and it is growing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I still remember when I first gave control over for the whole stock management side of things, and she had been pushing me for a little while, one of my team members, to just like let that go. And it was kind of something I really love to have control of, but it has been amazing to not have. It's just one less thing to worry about, and to have a team that's perfectly capable and to work with their strengths and give them jobs that work with their own strengths is actually beneficial in the long run. So.
Yeah, it is indeed, and congratulations on that. Another thing that occurs to me about your business and your industry is that optometry is becoming very, very high tech.
Right? Absolutely.
And how are you keeping up with that? It must take some time and some capital too to stay on top of this.
Capital's number one with medical equipment and high tech. Yeah, the equipment that just keeps coming out. How to keep on top of it. A lot of time and research into what's making news, what's important to our industry at the moment. And so some of those are, dry eye products. That's one of a huge area at the moment. Some of the imaging technology that we can use to see inside the back of the eye and also underneath the layers of the eye. I've recently invested in a couple of new pieces of equipment there that are worth way more than my car. But in saying that, we've had some patients come in that have been referred by doctors, and that equipment picked up tears in their retina, which leads to vision loss. So, they had urgent surgery same day. So it does the purpose that we need it to do to provide the service for the community. The other main area is that we partner with, from the lens technology side, strategically aligning yourself with companies that are always on the forefront, continually innovating, looking at what's next. And then having that partnership means that I'm aware and have access to all of that as well. So partnering with Zeiss from a lens point of view has been really good for us as well.
So from a business owner, business manager point of view, you've got systems internally that you can trust, and you're able to spend your time on the strategy and the way forward for the business, but you're also able to invest your time on the relationships and the learning that keep you at the cutting edge of the technology. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, that's a pretty good summary. I probably did it a much more longer-winded way, but yeah, that's a good summary.
Good. Well, there it is. I mean, there's the secret sauce, eh? It's this is why Eyes Australind is a successful business.
Well, I feel like any business should look to other partnerships and strategic partnerships that will provide the things that you need in your business. You can't do everything yourself. So yeah, medical equipment companies and lens companies for us that actually actively do that for us is just a way to align yourself that will benefit your business.
Sure, sure. And so just before we go, perhaps a little bit of a peek over the horizon. What's the future for Eyes at wherever? And what's the future with optometry and vision aids?
Oh, the future with optometry is super exciting, and there's been so much talk and development about, you know, where it's all going to be headed. And, you know, that goes to different ways of testing eyes and looking at eye health with little booths and equipment that could possibly potentially do that. It also, in terms of buying things, to provide that much more of an online type service. So it's definitely headed into custom-made frames that fit perfectly for people's faces. So being able to, and that's already available in some areas, and they're trying to get it to Australia where they use 3D printers to custom make frames for you. So yeah, there's lots of exciting stuff going on.
There is. It's a rapidly changing field. And,
I think that'd be the same as so many other industries. It is a rapidly changing field, and you know, we are working hard to keep ahead and keep on top of all of that.
Yeah. Well, Belinda, thank you very much for sharing with us today in the Zoom room. I think it's a really almost a textbook journey of yours where you found a passion that wasn't a direction you thought you were taking in life. You had the impetus to build that into a business, and an innovative business right from the start. And your innovation and your entrepreneurial spirit has been paying off in business growth, but at the same time, you've got the disciplines in the back end of the business that keep it functioning for you. It's a really good story. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Ian. I appreciate it.
Thanks for your time, Belinda. All the best with Dalyellup. Looking forward to that, seeing that on it.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Cool.